Hey, you've tuned into the GFree and Happy Show. Tonight, I have a special guest. It's Erica with Celiac and the Beast, and we're talking about her book. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to the GFree and Happy Show that happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Kathy, and I have been GFree and Happy for 4 years, almost 5 years now. Tonight, I have a great guest. Her name is Erica Dermer. She does celiacandthebeast.com. It's behind me. She has written, there's a picture of her with her beast. So she's written this wonderful book, Celiac and the Beast. I read it in like a day. It's the best book for all of us that have gluten-free issues, or gluten issues, I should say. I cracked up. We're going to be talking to her in a few minutes. But first, episode 51 of the GFree and Happy Show is brought to you by Oval Eye TV. Oval Eye TV believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. Visit Oval Eye TV today. So before going to Erica, which I'm going to talk to her in just a second, there's one more gift idea. By the way, this is December already, so that's why I have Erica on. I want her to be the first of my December shows, so I can kind of tell all of you to buy this on. I bought it on Amazon.com, got it in 2 days, and I'll be gifting people too with it. So the next item I want to shout out is my good friend Chef Kirsten. She has a holiday table ebook, healthy holiday table ebook that's $3.99. It gives you a grocery list. It's all GFree. It's healthy, happy holiday meal ideas, recipes. Like I said, a whole shopping list that you could get. It's $3.99. Visit mesadevita.com/healthy holiday table. Okay, so let's get to the guests now and talk to Erica. Hello, Erica.
Hello.
So nice to have you on my show. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's get going, because I want you to tell everybody about this book. We're going to go over some of the things about the book and also who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a gluten-free lifestyle blogger, not really on purpose. It just started that I had, something to say in the gluten-free community, and by nature, I'm a writer. That's what I do for a living. So I thought that there could be some sort of sassy voice for the gluten-free community. So I started a blog, and then a year after that, or a little bit more than a year, I decided to write a book about living gluten-free and the trials and tribulations and all the things that I had to go through to be diagnosed, and all the learning curves that I had to go through, because I was consistently being asked by people, "What'd you do? How do I navigate this?" So I figured I might as well just write a book, because I feel like I'm sitting people down and telling them for hours and hours how to live life, and I just decided to do it. And I think by nature, that's kind of who I am, is just someone who likes to gab, the gift of gab, talking, chatting about living life gluten-free.
And a very nicely done book. It has everything you want to know about being gluten-free, or, being glutened, and then trying to figure out why you're being glutened and all the tests and tribulations that you went through. There's a part in the book that I want to just go over, because I'm so excited that you're with me, and I want to tell my favorite part. It's down the list of questions I'm going to ask you, but my favorite part of your book is when you go under, and there'll be many tests, and we'll go over that tonight, but You go under and your mom takes your phone, and then she's taking pictures of you, and then she gives it back to you, and you're texting people and you're taking pictures of yourself, and you're telling everybody in that book, never do that.
It happens all the time. And my mother, when she read the book, it was actually one of her favorite parts because, of course, she loves when she's mentioned in the book, right? She's like, when are you going to talk about me? Because my mom is just like me. So she knew exactly what surgery it was. I did that, and I can't even tell you the amount of Instagram photos I took of myself when I went under is just scary, like with tubes in my nose, and I wasn't even mentally there, but I'm like, let's tweet this and Instagram that, and I'm not wearing a bra in this picture, and I'm like, what am I doing? 3 hours later, I look and all my friends are like, we're very concerned about you. And I'm like,
Hello.
I don't remember.
And your mom's helping you do this, which
My
what a
mother, yeah, an
supporter.
instigator for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So when she has surgery, I always take her phone away and I'm like, this is for all the times.
So it's a big warning in your book, do not have a cell phone near you or a smartphone.
Especially, so many people don't. I mean, I am 30 and I went through this process when I was 25. People don't typically have surgeries when they're that young.
No.
So I didn't know what it was like to go under. I didn't know what it was like to have anesthesia for the first time or to have your blood drawn, day after day after day. It's just something that we're not used to being so young and, supposedly so healthy. So I thought it was something to add that I'm like, hey, you're going to have a colonoscopy, you're going to have endoscopies. Let me tell you a little bit about it.
Okay, so let's just dive into that part right now, and then we'll get into why you did this book. But the part that is the whole first part of it, I never got to be diagnosed because I didn't want to go through. There's a whole like stage of I don't even know what gluten is, and the doctors didn't help me. So I didn't know about all those tests. You had a great doctor, it sounds like, that helped you get to where you needed to be, but it wasn't easy and you were awful young. So that was my favorite part because I was in my 40s when I was diagnosed or when I self-diagnosed. And also you were you didn't know. You did the colonoscopy at 25. I mean, hello, that's awful. So you go through this whole chapter of telling us what you go through, and there are parts that says you drank pink goo, you had some PPI proton pump inhibitor, radioactive oatmeal, numerous pills. What the heck? I mean, what were all those for?
So, my diagnosis was not related to celiac for years because celiac has so many symptoms. And mine weren't necessarily all digestive. So, if you go in and you're like, my tummy hurts, and people can say, oh, you're gluten intolerant, or maybe it's celiac, I didn't have a hurt tummy. That was never one of my symptoms. I had arthritis, like really bad joints when I was very young at 20. My stomach basically stopped pumping. The vagus nerve that tells your brain, like the nerve from your brain signal to actually pump the stomach to digest your food, mine was basically shut off. And I was getting sick and very ill after meals. And they first thought it was an ulcer, so they give you the pink goo for the ulcer. Then to fix the ulcer, they give you a proton pump inhibitor because you have gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, right? Then, after they figured out, oh, gee, we did an endoscopy and there's no ulcers down there, so maybe it's something else. So I got diagnosed with gastroparesis, which is a dysmotility disorder. So the food wasn't actually digesting, it would just sit there for like 4 days at a time. So you'd get very ill and you ate nothing. So they put me on black boxed FDA medications. Like the FDA
Oh my goodness.
warning was like, bad things are going to happen to you, like hands down. Like it's not a choice, like bad things. But your doctor has, conveniently made the choice to have this medication. So I was like falling asleep while driving, like just terrible things. I got the shakes. It was awful. So we got off of that. I got on another medication that is not available in the US, so I had to order from an internet pharmacy.
Oh my.
And then after that, I was just like, why am I sick still? Like nothing's working. And then they're like, oh, maybe you should test for celiac. And then I went to Mayo, and then I had the doctor who followed the proper procedures and understood that just because my tummy didn't hurt, that didn't mean that I couldn't have celiac. And then voila, that was kind of it, you know?
No, not really voila, because I went through all that. So when did the colonoscopy come into play again?
So the colonoscopy was just to check and make sure that everything was okay for, I guess, my entire system. They recommend that for celiacs as well. But I have another issue too. I have endometriosis as well, which they found in my bowel, which is part of the book that I don't talk about. You know, gotta leave room for a sequel. So I mean, there was I feel like a constant, pincushion going to the doctor and just wondering, you couldn't have a disease that you have like a medication and you're fixed, right? With celiac, it's like a grab bag of symptoms. So you never know when something new is going to pop up, or all the years of not having proper nutrition is going to lead to something down the road. So it's kind of like a constant, let's keep this body maintained like a well-oiled machine.
Nicely said, because that is so true. Let's go back to why you did this book and how you got started, getting it going with a Kickstarter campaign, which I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I think for me, I was freelancing at the time, so I didn't have a full-time job. Not that I wasn't super busy, because I'm a type A personality, so I tend to take on...
You mentioned that many times in your book, too.
I tend to take on as much as I possibly can. But since I'm a writer by trade, and I feel like I was writing so much, just writing these epic novels to people who are, asking me, oh, what do I do now once they're diagnosed? I'm like, why don't I just write a book about it? Because I feel like I'm a writer, so I can write at, 50,000 words on the topic. So I decided to start writing, but unfortunately I didn't have the funds, and I wasn't going to wait 2 years to knock on the door of publishers. So I decided to self-publish, and I launched a Kickstarter campaign to hopefully get my fans on board, to give them great rewards and have them kind of invest in the book as well.
And you were a blogger before that, right? Before you started this book, how long have you been blogging with celiacandthebeast.com?
I feel like April 2012.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's been, it hasn't been April 2011. I actually have no idea. April 2000, I should probably learn that so I can have like a birthday or something.
You do. You need to have an anniversary and celebrate.
I feel like I've been doing it forever. So like when people ask, I'm like, oh, I've been doing it for years. And people are like, no, you haven't been.
Because
the community really took me in. So I just feel like I belong, So I don't feel like the new kid on the block. I feel like, part of the crew, I guess.
You do. And you're like the head person. And I want to say too that you go to like all of the expos and all the conventions, and you were even in Seattle too. It's like, that's not fair. I didn't get to go to that. But you are meeting people from all over and getting to know all the products out there too.
I do. And you know what? Like, my background's in marketing and market research. So for me, new products are like my jam. I love being the first to know a new product. I love being the first to sample something, the first to tell people all about it. Like, I love being an influencer. I love being a person who's like, this is great. You need it. It replaces this on the market. It's fantastic. I think that that's a job as a blogger, because so many of my readers don't get a chance to travel, don't get a chance to try new things. They're ordering everything online because they don't have a Whole Foods near them. So it's that opportunity. I've got this great opportunity in front of me, right, to be this game changer in products and new research and stuff. So I want to be that, because I know that my readers can't do that, all the time.
You are such a big advocate. Okay, so tell us some of the great, this is going off topic for a minute, but tell us a couple of your favorite gluten-free products right now.
Oh my gosh. You're putting me on the spot.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm off
It's okay.
topic.
I love so I am a terrible cook slash baker. I'm just awful in the kitchen. It's not a good thing for me to be anywhere near a kitchen. But I try. I try really hard. And for me, it's all about the packaged goods. So packaged products. Right now, we're big into mixes like Kira's Crave Bake Shop mixes. They're really great
I
and
have to try
super
those.
easy.
Yes.
So good. Snickerdoodle, that's the one I recommend. We did a lot of our holidays with like Three Bakers bread, which is a great bread. We did a lot of Udi's products. In Phoenix, we're really lucky to have a great gluten-free bakery that's right around the corner called Jules, and she's fantastic, and she makes a lot of vegan items, and we're just really lucky to have like these epicenters of gluten-free food, Whole Foods, Sprouts. I mean, Sprouts is centered here, and we
Is it
have like
really? I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and we have like four different gluten-free bakeries. It's insane. Phoenix, for being in Arizona, people think that we're just like a vast desert. You know, we have a lot of gluten-free opportunities, and people are really surprised when they come out here how lucky we are to have kind of what we have.
I'm jealous of that. I didn't know you had a Sprouts and a Whole Foods
Yeah,
and bakeries. Yes,
great.
nice. So getting back to the book. All right, there's so many chapters. It was like, okay, what chapters do we go over? And so the diagnose was huge for me. So what is some of your favorites and some of your other readers' favorites? You know, some of your followers.
So I think that the getting the dream diagnosis scenario, right? I think that a lot of people don't get to have it, and I think that I'm a huge advocate for getting diagnosed when you can. There's so many people that it's been like 10 years, and of course they're not going to go back on gluten just to figure it out.
And then that's the only way, right? I mean, you have to go on
Yeah.
gluten.
Yeah, I mean, it's the blood test, and then after the blood test, it's endoscopy, but you have to have the right number of samples. You have to be on gluten for the right number of weeks. So it's a difficult process. We definitely don't make it easy for celiacs to be diagnosed.
You
And I know
don't at
you
all.
don't. And I
And
had the genetic test too. So I mean, it was three different ways for me to be diagnosed because I didn't have the typical symptoms. So,
so, and let's bring that up really. This is very important that most people should. And Dr. Oz had Jennifer from
right.
from GFree School,
Mhm.
which did a great job today. But it doesn't go into the details. Like it just said, your stomach doesn't have to hurt. Well,
Right.
and that was you. Your stomach never did.
It didn't.
And so people need to know that they need to do tests, but they have to go back on gluten if they want those tests. And
Yeah,
you actually made a choice to go back on gluten.
I
And
did.
and they said you have to go on a certain time. So you did, and it was like not long enough, right? I mean, you had to keep going for a little longer.
Yeah, it was my first like three endoscopies was like 2 weeks. And for my body, 2 weeks wasn't long enough to trigger anything other than like flesh wound symptoms, right? So I had the mouth ulcers, I felt awful, but my villi were still fine. My lymphocytes were fine. Apparently, at like 5 to 6 weeks, that's when things got really crazy inside my body and they could actually diagnose celiac. So I did have to go the typical 6 to 12 weeks in order to really get diagnosed via endoscopy. And then the genetic test just confirmed the fact that yes, I was indeed prone to celiac. So that backs up the endoscopy findings.
Wow, that must have been pure torture. Well, you say it in your book too. And let me tell you again how funny she makes the torturing parts, I have to say.
I
um,
mean, it's you have to laugh at it because if not, it's just like the saddest 6 weeks of your life. It's fun at first, like
I
running
know,
through the
eating all
aisles,
that.
grabbing everything.
Gluten,
But
gluten.
yeah, but then by the end of the 6 weeks, I was just telling my girlfriend at dinner the other night, I was literally like crying, just shoving pieces of bread down. I'm like, I just get it down. I just need it diagnosed. It was just so sad.
And then after you were diagnosed and they told you all this, you went into a depression.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone goes through the stages, right? Any stage of like mourning, denial, whatever. And I mean, I got a chance to really be in denial because I was diagnosed and misdiagnosed by several doctors until I finally got like a real diagnosis from the Mayo Clinic. So I had an opportunity to like really just have these crazy highs and lows, like bipolar of emotions. Like I can eat gluten, I can't eat gluten, and oh, I'm sad and I can't. And it was really difficult, especially with my background of disordered eating. With anorexia, you make a strict list. You know, these are my safe foods. This is all I can eat. And then after you go through counseling and you feel free of this monster that's holding you back from not being able to eat whatever you want and feeling good about it. And then I got a diagnosis that's like, oh, congratulations, you can eat this list. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to eating off a list. I want to be able to eat whatever I want and be happy about it. So I think for me, the depression part and the anger part was just really intense. And then luckily, it took a few years, but I feel obviously that I'm using this for my advantage, right? I'm using this for a cause and for a purpose.
And this is a very good book to talk about. You had eating issues, and that was my second favorite chapter because you really go into and it must have been awful. Lots of issues, and then you had counseling with that too. So then, yes, you're right. You probably just went into huge depression after hearing you have to eat those things now, from now on, for the rest of your life.
Right. And that's why I think I tend to get very, I guess, picky about people who are like food bullies within our community that yell at you if you post a picture of a cupcake, you know, are very like, we shouldn't eat gluten-free food because gluten-free food is just junk. And you're like, well, yes, of course, a cupcake is a cupcake still. Just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's not a cupcake. But coming from my background, we should be happy that we're mentally okay with eating a cupcake.
And a gluten-free one.
Yeah, and a gluten-free one. And that we're not going to cry ourselves to sleep because where am I going to put that cupcake? Is that going directly to my thighs? Like, that's not the mentality we should have when we eat. We should love eating, you know, manja, enjoy. We should love what we eat. We should be happy with the food that we have. And even gluten-free food, we should be incredibly just thankful and lucky that we have the options that we have today. And I think that we need to be happy what we have available.
That's beautifully said, but I cannot believe people are bullying you because you're having a cupcake.
It's really just people want what's best in their hearts. They really do. But some people just come across as being healthy food pushers, and that's fine. I say in the book, I have an obsession with, you know, salt, sugar, fat, like a great book, right?
I have that book.
I know.
I haven't read it all, but yes, I want to.
It's so good. And I know what the food industry is doing, so I get that. But at the same time, I don't want people to stop loving food. And I don't want people to stop loving food because someone tells them that it's bad for them or because someone tells them that gluten-free food sucks. You know, it goes hand in hand.
I agree, and I'm reading Julia Child right now, and I've got her book over there that I'm going to do a gluten-free version of a lot of her recipes, but
Awesome.
I think she's the one that kind of brought that too, to, you know, at the beginning. She loved her food, and it showed. Every kind of food imaginable she loved, and she showed it in the way she presented her food to her family or friends or whatever. And
Definitely.
I think, you should enjoy it, but bullies, go away, please, because that's not nice. I like my cupcakes once in a while.
Yeah, any bullies, food bullies, regular bullies. I'm over it. I'm over it.
So everybody needs to buy this book, I think, for all of their gluten-free buddies, their friends, people that might be thinking that they have a gluten-free or a gluten problem with gluten. I always, gluten-free is just my vocabulary now, but the gluten is the part that people might have a problem with, and this would be a great book to make you laugh and to understand all the pieces. I mean, it's the whole journey. I mean, dating, shopping,
dining out.
Dining out was big too. I love the scenario where you have the handsome waiter, the perfect scenario that we all wish we had, that just gave us everything we wanted at the restaurant.
Right. And luckily, in Phoenix, we do have those. But, there's 3 chapters in dining, and one of them is dedicated strictly to the stories where I have been screwed over by gluten many times in several scenarios. So, I mean, they're there to make people laugh, but also to teach them that even someone who thinks that they know it all just has problems, and that, in our life of eating gluten free, we're going to run into people that don't serve us the right food, and we need to get over it. But as long as we're doing the right things and saying the right things and assuring that our meal is as safe as humanly possible, I want people to be able to love dining out and having fun and having that dream waiter scenario.
I like it. I love that part. I will say that you brought up a good point in the book too, where Denny's and the different breakfast places have omelets.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they put I mean, that's how I got gluten for the first time and went to the emergency room, was with an omelet. And I had no idea they put pancake batter in omelets. So
It's everything. And I mean, not being in the food industry, we don't know how they're using it as a binding agent, what they're going to put it in next. Luckily, now that gluten issues are kind of becoming more aware, especially in the restaurant industry, and there's a lot of great gluten-free organizations and celiac organizations making sure that that's possible. Luckily, hopefully they won't put binding agents in coffee or something that I love to eat that's going to accidentally get me gluten. But yeah, it's so crazy how it's used, and in like the weirdest places that you'll get sick from.
Yeah, so you're just full of information. So everybody go to, it's Monday, Cyber Monday. Go to Amazon.com, get that celiac. She actually has it on her website too. Let me get that. I've got this thing up the whole time. Hold on. We're going to go to celiacandthebeast.com and go to her book section. And it's got a cute little, I love that guy, at the top here. And then at the bottom, she even gives you a little sneak peek. And at the bottom right here is you go to the Amazon.com link and you purchase that for a family, for yourself, for your family, your loved one, for friends, everybody. Erica, where can we find you besides, I love that picture. You've got the best pictures. You're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, but tell me where you are on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
So my Twitter handle is @CeliacBeast, and my Instagram handle is @CeliacandTheBeast.
I love your Instagram. That's my favorite. She's also on Facebook. What's your Facebook?
I am. It's facebook.com/CeliacandTheBeast.
Okay, so if everybody in the world's following you already, but if you haven't, please follow Erica. Are you gonna be anywhere in an event soon?
I just put together my 2014 calendar, and I will be traveling a lot. So I think next up is January in San Francisco for Jen's Gluten-Free, Allergen-Free Expo.
Wow.
And then every month I'll have an event somewhere out of town. So I'll be putting that up as soon as I kind of like get my plans settled. On my website, there I'll have probably an appearances link, but
yes, you'll need
just to
to
hang out, just to meet everyone. That's why I travel so much. I love meeting people, hearing their stories, and how celiac or being gluten-free affected their lives, and I learn a lot from them.
Well, we learned a lot from you tonight. Thank you again for being on my show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. All right, so get that book one more time, Celiac and the Beast. And next week, it's going through my December gift giving and suggestions. So next week is Kirsten with chemobites.com. She's got a gift pack that you want to buy for many people in your life. So until next week, this has been Kathy with GFree and Happy.com. Have a great GFree and Happy week.